an interview with the managing director of Better Co. And we go on all different genres, whether it's marriage and how to live a fulfilling marriage, how to have unified vision as a team, how to scale your business up, how to systemize things, how to approach problems, how to understand yourself. So there's a lot of varied things. But the important thing about the person that I'm interviewing is that Better Co is one of the larger accounting firms in Auckland. And it is a very hard thing to scale, and very few people are able to do that. So when you have an opportunity to speak to someone that started it from the ground up, you should listen.
We'll start now. So to continue from our off-air conversation, you talked about like reaching out to people, and I'm just curious how an accounting firm reaches out to people. Like, do you just like call 1,000 people and 2 people say yes? Or you say, hey Bob, do you know Sally? Can you put me in contact? Like, how did you grow?
I think it's just about finding someone that aligns with you, right? So like if you like somebody's marketing, then I'm like, I like that guy's marketing. So I'm just going to either send an email off their website or just jump straight into LinkedIn or Instagram. I'll just ask them straight up. I tend to not do the whole spam 100 and get 2.
Okay.
Like if I want to work with you, I actually want to work with you. Interesting.
You're a sniper. You're a closer.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just think I don't really do business with anyone who I don't feel doesn't have the same values as us. It's just easier, right?
Could you do that from the start? Like, what's your story? Like, how did you get into it? Because if you just, that's where most people make the mistake, is they get people that shouldn't be clients because they're desperate.
Yeah.
And then they're not sure what to do now, and they don't have much time.
Yeah, I think I always understood who I wanted as a client. I think we did in the early days make the mistake of who did we network with. I don't think we did a good enough job at that time in the early years. We've been doing this 10 years now, so like in years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would say we were networking with the wrong people who weren't really growing businesses or were a little slower to service than we were. So I would expect, my clients would expect the same service from that person as I was giving, right?
Yeah, okay.
So like if that value of slow service or fast service is separate or different, it's going to piss my client off.
Yeah.
So I think we eventually went through like a number of mortgage brokers. We've been through a number of insurance providers, a number of lawyers and all that across a long period of time. Now I feel like we're pretty good. We're set with who we like to work with. And so our clients get value from us introducing them to those professionals.
So that's challenging because it's like it's a trust piece, so it's an extension of you. And early on, you just network and you're like, this person seems alright, and then they just ruin it. How do you know? Like, because I could talk to you. Oh, he seems nice, personable. I've talked to someone else that used to work there. He seemed cool.
Well, I think again in the early days we tried to almost do that whole like, okay, rather than us trying to sell to that person, get that person to send us leads. And it was the wrong mentality. And as soon as we flipped it to, hey, I've met this person, they do this, and they can provide that solution for the client, so they can actually solve my client's problems, and I don't want anything for it. When we changed to that mindset, it became a little easier to give that professional, say, like a really easy problem, and just to quickly see if they solved it, how fast they solved it, what they were like as a person, and then get the feedback from the client, and also get the feedback from the professional to be like, did you like that lead?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you not want that work?
Or I thought you were going to say comparing the two stories. Oh, amazing. Yeah, I was there every time. The client's like, nah, he never rang. Like, it was just fucked. Or she.
Yeah. Well, it can happen. That hasn't happened much, I don't think, for us. But yeah, I think it was just more about, okay, if we don't expect anything in return, in terms of money, it was way easier for us to just be like, here's a little problem. Can you please solve the little problem for the client?
Yeah.
And then eventually you'd just be like, okay, here's a bigger problem. Can you solve this bigger problem for this other bigger client? And like we just worked our way up that way.
Did you find that because you came with that approach of just giving, that you found you were receiving more from those parties?
No.
Ah.
No.
Okay.
I would say that's the thing that we had to get over. Well, not even get over. We didn't care about. That's what I was saying about change of mindset. I didn't care if I was getting work from that person or not, right? So as soon as we started feeding other professionals with work, then we were like, maybe you should pay us something, you know? We're sending you a good amount of work. We don't expect any clients back. We don't really care, right? Like, we got enough people coming from different areas. But we're sending you a lot of work. I remember one year we calculated, we made one broker about 80K in the year from our leads. He made about 80K, maybe even like close to 100. And we were like, no partnership agreement, no nothing. We were like, man, even if we took like 10% of that, it'd be $8,000, you know?
Yeah.
Like nothing, but like, you know, it's still $8,000.
Yeah.
Pays for the lunches, team lunches for the year or something.
Yeah, a good night out. So you still hold that. So you send them off to people you trust that can solve the problem. Nothing in return. No money. No referral back. Or there is money now. There
is money now with some people.
Okay.
But like, say I'm trying to, like, your first question was like, what do you do initially?
Yeah.
If I'm trying to work with someone, it will be just solve the problem, mate. I don't need anything back. Because until I actually send enough, like, why am I asking for some sort of commission, right? I need to send you 10 leads, 20 leads, like 30 leads potentially, like, not just one piece of work and be like, can you pay me commission?
Yeah, give me $10.
Yeah.
So is there a moral qualm? Is there a mental origami you had to go through in terms of, I'm referring you this one because I think they're great, and then I also get paid, and do you tell them that, or how do you approach that?
No, I don't think. I think it's more of a. So we still, with people that we work with, we still don't get paid for some of them, right? Like, it's, I would say it's frowned upon for the legal world, so we don't ask the legal world to ever pay us anything.
Yeah,
you know,
financial advice too.
Yeah, same. So we don't ever expect anything back there. It's just solve the problem for the client, please. Make us look good because we know you.
Give us some ego instead of money. Yeah.
But with like mortgage brokering and stuff like that, it's a little easier. We can be like, hey, use this guy. He's the best. And he's going to pay us 20% of whatever he makes or whatever, or 30% depending on who it is. So
like the hunters in a way is who you do that arrangement with? The more the salesy kind of people? Yeah. And I think it's I think it's almost where the value of the service is high and almost the work is low. So we wouldn't send anything that is too hard to close, for example. If it's too hard, it would be a conversation to be like, do you want it? Because I'm letting you know now it's hard. And so I won't waste your time. Yeah. Maybe I'll send that to the other guy. The tester in the first stage.
See if he does well with that one.
Yeah. Because that is a balance there. It's like, on one hand, you know, you could be referring, you could be giving them all these opportunities, but if it's a hard experience, if the Alex Omozi, I've just been assessing over him lately because he seems to be better at things I'm not, and I can't remember what I was going to say, so we'll move on.
You just got obsessed with his biceps.
Yeah, I just got mesmerised by his fucking moustache, mate. I don't get stumped in a podcast too much, so that's great. All right, so you get these referral partners, but what do you attest to your business growth? Because you guys are in a small club of accountants that have a certain scale. Just so people know how many people are in your company or revenue or whatever you want to share.
What are we? We're currently 23 people here in New Zealand. We have a few people that do like outsource work offshore for us. So I don't know, could be like 25, 26, 27, 30 for all I know. I don't actually know how many people are doing work for us offshore.
Wow. Yeah, 30. So, and like there's probably, you could count on your hand how many of that size in Auckland.
Oh, yeah. Maybe not on one hand, but there are multiple. Like there's a lot of accountants, remember?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, there's a stupid number of accountants. I just think I call most of those people practitioners though. They are good at tax returns. Like, I was once upon a time, and my ethos is once you get good enough at doing something, fucking burn it. Like, get someone else to do it. As long as you can do before you can review somebody else's work, then that's really important. So like that I would do, get a standard, understand my standard, and get the next person to understand that standard, follow the process that I built, and then replicate. And then you can't review until you get to my standard. Right, and then you get another person on to do the same thing. So that's kind of what we did. I did every single role in the company right from day one. Like we did probably 6 years without admin support. You know, like a lot of time.
Yeah.
We trained like juniors upwards. We didn't hire seniors first. You know, it was like, this is like awfully slow model.
Yeah.
I would never do that now, but when you're building from the ground up, was the zero working capital, no cash, right? Like just man hours. This is what we did. Just did every single role.
Yeah, well. Would you do it the same way?
No, no.
What would you do differently?
Because
then you wouldn't have the knowledge you have now, you know what I'm saying? Because you invested in knowledge.
Yeah, I invested in knowledge, 100%. Because after 3.5 to 4 years of working in a job, doing accounting, I was like, that's enough. I've got enough now to go out on my own. We bought a rental property next door, and it was going to lose 10 grand that year or something that we worked out. And I wasn't happy about that. Never lost money in my whole life, right? Like, hate losing money. Hate losing anything. Don't like failing. So I was like, cool. What do we do? So we started the business, and we were like, let's just do some tax returns and financial statements. Try and make 10 grand, cover that cost. And it was me and my brother, right? The two of us started it together. The first year we did 40k or something. And so we were like, well, we could either keep this going, or I could go to the UK and go and have some fun and go be a chartered accountant and do all of that. But I just kind of had to remind myself the reason I became a chartered accountant. Like it wasn't to be an accountant. Like it sounds dumb. It sounds really dumb. It's like, oh, I went to uni for 4 years and then did my CA for another 3 to do accounting and then not do accounting. That wasn't the case. It was because I wanted to own my own business, and I wanted to understand everything about business. So I did marketing and accounting at uni, and then fell into accounting because no one would pay for a marketing internship in those days. So that's why I went and did accounting, and then to kind of fulfill that like marketing need, I just did it myself for years in my own business. And as you say, learn as you go. Yeah,
what did you learn in university to marketing? I always wonder that. I thought about
good bloody question. I can't remember much, so probably not a lot.
The 3 Ps or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, because we have a 4 Ps that we follow in our business at the moment, but it's not to do with marketing.
Okay.
It's like we focus on pricing, we focus on promotion, which is marketing. We focus on the process, like getting all the processes sorted, and the people, right? And we also focus a little bit on product. You don't want to be creating new products every bloody 6 months in an accounting firm or an advisory firm, right?
Yeah, what products can you do? Is there an imagination, like is there like a future product that you'd love to create but you're currently limited by either resource, time, or it doesn't exist?
Oh, yeah, like, well, I live far in the future, but like not so far that I think it's unachievable. Like, I'm not going to say build robots or something, but like this year, our core purpose at Betterco is to help Kiwis build better businesses and better lives, right? Like it's got to be both. But you got to build a better business first. So because we believe that, this year we're going a little deeper into business technology. And by that I mean, like, do you have the right email software? How does your team collaborate and talk to each other? You know, are you using Microsoft Teams? Are you using Slack? Are you using text or WhatsApp? What are you using? All those different tools that help you run an efficient business. So we just find that more and more we work with people, they need technology to run a better business, but they just don't know where to start. So that is something we're going to create as a new product.
Oh, yeah.
This year. People would just see that as a new service line, right? But yes, new service line, and then we'll create products in behind it. And I have a saying that's like, don't sell what's not on the truck. Like, so my rule is, if you create a service line and a product, and the product goes on the truck or the shelf, then we can sell it. So we were talking earlier about it's hard to sell if you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, if we believe in something, we productize that pretty quick. and then we see if we really believe in it and if it sells. If we believe in it and it doesn't sell, well, that sucks.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Falls off the truck. So there was another thing you talked about off air, was about in New Zealand being limited to a certain, lane, because someone comes in, they come to see the accountant, and then they go and tell everyone about the accountant. They're like, oh, they're so amazing, these guys. But now they do technology. Are they technology people? Are they accounting people? Like, how do you determine what gets on the truck?
Yeah, confusing. Really confusing, because we've owned technology businesses before, and I'm like, I don't want people to think that we're just doing that again. But that was different. That was like managed services IT. Like, that's really complicated shit. Not complicated if you're an IT engineer, but like complicated for an accountant, right? So I wouldn't sell that thing now, but I do have the skill set to be like, oh, I use email every day. Like, I use Microsoft Teams every day. So technically I am an expert.
Yeah.
I just got to find someone to we'd become the reseller, so to speak.
Okay. So it comes under the same umbrella of value to them, but then you can clip the ticket somewhere? Yeah,
and I think it's just about finding more resources internally, like adequate resources, so just one or two people. And that's not a fully fledged business. That, like, we're not, oh my God, we're in IT now. No, we're just offering an additional service to help our Kiwi clients build better businesses.
So how do you navigate the executing and delivering on that? Because to me that makes sense. It's like in an amazing world, a client comes in and you solve every problem known to man, and
which you can't, right?
Yeah, it's very tricky to solve it as good as others. How will you navigate? Is it the facilitation of the outsource and then the communication channel? Like, what are you providing in that model?
I think that's one of the key things. Is I don't think we've found a key provider right now to like solve that problem. Like, we can solve all the other problems of, I need more debt, okay, sweet, go to this person. I need marketing, okay, go to this person. But it's like, I haven't found someone who kind of in IT that understands what we do, and I don't think I found an IT person that I really understand what they do, or we live in the same market, like small to medium business. Like, they might be focused at large business or medium business only, right? So our value alignment just isn't there. So because we haven't found that person, I kind of just need to bring it internally and give it a crack.
Yeah, like, random. Who's passionate? Who are you going to hire?
Well, Louisa in our team's real passionate about the
Louisa,
technology.
She cannot leave.
Yeah, so she really likes that side. So she can do that, and then it'll fulfill her sort of want of, keeping her
sane,
fire in the belly.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you can hire people passionate about what they do, and your vision can help them achieve theirs, and their values are the same, you don't really need to teach much.
No, exactly. They're kind of just learning themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, you're learning from them.
Yeah. Well, I don't actually really have that much intention to learn about it, right? Like,
here you go.
I'm like, let it just happen.
Yeah.
Be like, Louisa, so-and-so client has this problem. Do you reckon you can solve it? Can one of our 3 technology products solve that problem? Like, we do a lot of what I call outsourced finance. So let's say a pub or a group of 4 pubs, they don't have an internal finance team. We are their finance team. So we process all of their accounts payable, all of their bills, we do all their payroll, all that sort of back end shit, right? But to do that successfully across hundreds or if not thousands of transactions, you need technology, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the technology gap is for us. We would actually help implement the technology to almost help us do a better job and make it easier for the client. I don't really care about solving the problem for, I don't know, let's just say a painter who has no staff and has just started. He probably wouldn't have enough problems for our new technology division.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to actually solve for him?
Yeah, if you... what tech do you need? Do you just show up for the job and get new jobs?
Yeah, and hopefully you have a phone and an email and some sort of quoting system.
Yeah, and then you're good. You're away. Yeah. So what would be your ideal? Would it be 3 to 15 or 10 to 50, or who would this new,
like, number of employees in a business?
or how do you determine who needs it?
I think it's the same client base we're after, right? Like anyone who's kind of turning over $1 million plus, 5+ employees, hopefully not a too complex business. Someone who's growing, or more importantly, just wants to be better. Because most businesses don't want to grow, but they just want to be better.
I've been finding that hard. Is I didn't know who I was going to sell to, because I just sort of impulsively started a business and then was working out as I go. But then I'd started interviewing a lot of one-man bands and talking to them or meeting them out, networking. And just, I didn't think like them. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't relate. It was either... I related in certain points in my life where, like... So I used to do commissioner sales and had, like, a team of 15 that I was training. And I always struggled with delegation and trust. And so I had to work through that. But I see that so much in one-man bands where they're like, they can't do it as good as me. I'm like, fucking what, bro? Even if they could do it 50%, if that gives you 10% of time, like, what are you... And
Right, what are you on, right?
Yeah.
I think it's an ego thing a little bit, right? Like, I just had a little crack this morning at the team. I'm like, guys, I've been waiting on this for 2 weeks. Took me 2 hours yesterday and I banged it out. Like, you know? But then in my head, I'm like, let go of the ego.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense to me after those 2 hours. But I can almost guarantee you if they read that, it's still not going to make sense. So who's to say that it's actually fucking done?
Yeah.
It's probably not done. You know? Because they don't understand it. Or maybe I'm wrong. You know? So I think it is an ego thing, for sure.
Well, I was catching myself recently. So I got one employee because I don't particularly like video editing, but I like understanding people and how you can position yourself in a way that they look at you favorably online.
Yeah.
And they'll give me these incredible ideas, and I was like, nah, dumb idea, shutting it down. I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? So this guy, you know, helped grow a YouTube channel from fucking 0 to, I don't know, let's say 100,000, maybe 200,000 followers.
Yeah.
And he was the editor. And I'm coming here speculating on how things will work based on my inability to accumulate that many followers. And be like, no, we're not going to do that. Like, so I find it's a combination of shedding different belief systems as you progress through your journey of being a business owner, my limited understanding. And then your ability to surround yourself with people that can either deliver business or can actually be staff that you can learn from, and just replacing yourself every space you get until you're just doing what you're really good at and what you like.
Yeah. There's 2 things I'd say on that. Like, we say, no, I know thinking.
Okay.
Like, I know. Like, or I know better than you.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Like, that's that whole thing you were just talking about.
Yeah.
You're almost better to just be like, you do it, bro. You know? Give it a crack. Have a go. 9 times out of 10 it's going to be better than we could do anyway, because they're an expert, and they have more experience. But there's a theory that goes, if you focused on what you were good at, right? So like your strengths, and everyone just forgot about what they were bad at or shit at. Everyone just focuses on what they're bad at, and I need to get better at this. But how about just don't even worry about it? How about just focusing on the things that you're good at and just keep doing that? Like, there's actual research that says that those people are happier, more efficient, they make more money, and they probably have more sex.
Nah, you reckon?
Nah, I don't know.
Unless they're not good at
they're
it.
just happier. Yeah. I don't know, but they probably like...
Don't even focus on it. Be asexual, right? It's all over.
Yeah, like... So we're going through this thing in the business at the moment, and it's called StrengthsFinder, Gallup StrengthsFinder. I don't know if you've heard of Gallup. It's a research organization, massive, right around the world, and based in America. But there are 34 strengths, right, that they've condensed this down to. There is a lot more, but there's 4 key areas. So strategic, influencing, relationships, and executing. Okay. So those 34 strengths go into those 4 buckets, right? And if you everyone has the 34 strengths. Some are just stronger at certain things than others, right? So like in my top 5, which they would say is my high strengths, I don't have any relationship, right? So when I did my first first test, you do your questions, you bang it all in, and then you get your top five strengths. Automatically, it switches your brain to be like, I'm shit at the other 29. It's not totally true. I'm just good at the top 5. And in fact, great if you look at the back 5, right?
In comparison,
right?
Because you're so shit in other areas. You're exceptional in that one.
Yeah.
I get it. It helps you sleep at night.
Yeah. So if I just focus on those 5, I'm good.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, I'm not. There can't be that bad at relationships, surely. Like, built a business, built a team, I'm like, it should be sweet. Got enough friends. So we went and like opened up the 34 to have a look. And I was like, okay, sweet. My 6th one is relator. It's like quite a strong relationship one.
Okay.
Right? So I'm like, cool. I had to get some understanding around that. And then there's other strengths that I have that kind of compensate for that lack of relationship building. Like, I hate networking, for example.
Yeah.
You won't see me fucking walking into a room of 100 and being like, hey, how's it going, man? You right?
Yeah.
No, don't care. Because my related strength is, if I want to talk to you, I'm going to talk to you, and I like our relationship. What I'm trying to like determine from the outset is this relationship going to go deep?
Oh, interesting.
If it's not going to go deep, then I'm wasting my fucking time.
Huh.
Like, why am I here? Like you said before, you have 2 mates. Great.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if like relator was your number 1.
maybe that's the only 2 that can pick me, bro. I just stuck it out. That's interesting. So you kind of come from a buyer's mentality, which is essentially you're coming in, instead of trying to sell, you're trying to understand if you would, have them as a client, which not in an egotistical way, just in an exploration of like, is this sort of person who I'd want to work with, which will convey a strong indifference and a genuine desire to help them, which probably helps you close better.
Yeah, I always say I don't sell, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just bring value, hopefully be a good dude, hopefully solve some problems, and then actually in that first interaction are like, do I actually think there's a vibe here? Because if I think there's a vibe, then the other person probably thinks there's a vibe. But if I think there is no vibe, the other person probably thinks there's no vibe, and we'll just might as well work with someone else. So I don't sell. I just get in there and start solving problems, or like try to build trust really quickly. And then if you want to be a client, be a client. Like, that's all good with me. If you don't, not fast.
Did it take some belief to have that early on? You're like, I'm just going to solve your problem. Please, I've only earned 40 grand this year. I've got to eat fucking chickpeas tomorrow.
I don't know if it's belief. Like, I think I believed very early on that, like I almost had like that no dickhead mentality, right? Like, you don't want to work with dickheads. No one does. No one should. Even for money, right? If your business is still struggling, like, still don't hire the dickhead. Like, don't choose the dickhead, because it just sucks energy. So much energy. And then you won't do a good enough job. Let's say the like most awesome client walks in the door and that shitty client just left and like burnt you, or you just got off a phone call and they were just berating you over the phone. And then you've got your like best client come in. You're not going to be there. You're going to be so out of energy because that other client ruined you,
Yeah. You think how exponentially you would feel internally, and your ability to accumulate the business and like help them help your business if you're always around those people. Yeah,
100%. Like, and that's why our clients are so sticky, because I would say that most of our team have like these relationship strengths, right? In fact, I know they do, because we did the test. Right.
Is that part of your recruitment process?
It's not. We only just started doing this in the last 6 months, and one of the there's a coach that's helping us through this, and one of the things he said was, do not make this a recruitment part of your recruitment process.
Oh, okay.
It's not about like, we want someone in sales, so go and like find someone who's high in relationship. Like, it's not that, because most of our accountants are terrible at sales, right? In fact, 99% of them can't sell anything. No, right? But they're all quite high in relationship. And so they're really good at talking to clients and being like, hey, how's it going? Can I have this? And getting something out of that client and getting back to the client and all that. But they don't necessarily want to go and do heaps and heaps of chatting to people and building unmeaningful relationships.
Yeah, makes sense. What are your top 5 then? Do you remember?
Mine?
Off the cuff?
Yeah, my first one is competition. So I'm high in competition.
I could get that. Yeah.
Competition, futuristic, achiever, significance, and activator.
Okay, those last 3 mean nothing to me. What?
Okay, so I'll go through them. So competition is like, yes, I always want to win, but I don't want to win alone. I want to win with a team.
Okay.
So it's an influencing one.
So any of those accountants listening now, you fuckers watch out.
Yeah, I'm coming for you. So there's that, and it kind of like helps with standards in a business and all of that, right? It kind of explains to me why for years and years and years, right through my life, I was either the captain of something or like the leader or continuously organizing things for mates and stuff, you know? And then futuristic. So you can't see the future, but obviously no one can. But well, some people think they can. But you help people to like know where the road is going, or you can see the road. Don't necessarily know where it is, but like you can build the road there. Achiever, get shit done. That's an easy one. Significance. So I kind of need to be told I'm doing a good job. Like pat me on the back. But equally, I will tell other people they're doing a good job, right? When they're there and helping them feel significant. And then activator. So I'm really good at getting things like going, but then I should probably hand it to someone else to like do all the detail and get it done.
Yeah.
The problem I have with that is analytical is in my top 10 as well. So I can activate it. I could get analytical with it.
You can start
but I can't finish it.
Yeah, so you can start it, tell them why they're fucking up.
yeah.
And
So,
start it again.
Yeah. So I actually need someone to either finish it, if it's like a little project or something, finish it, or like take it since I've started it, then put my analytical hat on, analyze it, and then be like, oh, great job, finish it.
Is it a free test or you buy it? Or
I think it was like $60, $70 or something.
I'll put it in. Can you say the name again so I can find it?
Yeah, Gallup StrengthsFinder.
Gallup StrengthsFinder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just type in StrengthsFinder.
Okay.
It's really good. I think the key to it though is you almost need someone who is an expert in it, right? So we have a guy, Josh Cox, from Yellow Umbrella in Tauranga.
Oh, okay.
So he flew up a couple of times to like coach us as a team, and it was really insightful.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that first interaction with him, I got rid of every other little shitty tool we were using, because I was like, I'm all in. This works.
Huh.
My team understand it. I understand it.
So how do you? Because that's not immediately the average business owner would be like, bottom line. What do I get in the bottom line? And then this guy Yellow in Tauranga. How did you get sold on the idea?
Well, he flew up and we had a team workshop, like a full day, kickoff day kind of thing, you know, and he was our guest speaker. We paid him. I think it was like $3,500 or something. It was like quite a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Louisa probably approved that bill, not me. I'm kind of glad she did. And he just came up and like everyone's going through their tests, and then like he's just like talking through it, and he does this presentation, and then you like stand up, and then it's like, oh, stand up if I have this strength. And then he's like, okay, you people probably are these types of people. And then everyone's like, oh my God, how did you know that? You know, and then those people sit down, and then the next kind of group stands up and it's like, you people are probably like this. And then everyone's like, oh my God, another one? He's 2 from 2, you know? And it was like constantly over and over and over and over again, just so right.
So he could be a part-time psychic if you wanted. He's a good reader of people.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can't see the future, right?
Yeah.
It's just about saying, these people do a test. He could almost never meet someone, just have the test in front of them and know what they're going to be good at.
Okay. Not to be a doubter, I used to do a thing called the Cube Test.
I haven't seen it.
It was from a book called The Game, and you probably shouldn't read it. It's just this cringy ass thing about how to communicate better with women, and do not copy it. But the Cube Test was remarkable, and it was just like people seem to associate certain objects with certain interpretations, and you can use that to extrapolate that, as well as your understanding of the person in front of you and the visual cues they give you. So I'm just curious, what do you think has been the measurable or practical takeaways from that? Or is it just, because often I find people benefit from a framework of how to communicate and understand each other, because not everyone's necessarily high in EQ. So if you have a framework, hey, this person's in this category, it's like a good starting point.
It's exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's exactly that. So like we are really top heavy as a business, right? Like there's 4 directors, there's now a general manager, there's an office manager, there's like all these weapon people. And well, we need to work together. So we need to know who's good at what. And then we also need to know how to approach each other, you know? Like I'm the MD, so I work with everyone. But I want to know, okay, if I'm going to go talk to Lou, should I tell her to start this thing, or should I start this thing and then give it to her? So we've now learned that her and I should have a quick catch up, start, and then she goes away and runs with it, and then we have a follow-up catch up and I go and do it with her. And then we shut it down, we close it off. I work really closely with Josh, our marketing guy. So you can see his brain like fucking ticking. Like you ask him a question and then you just got to wait, right? You just got to wait. And then if I didn't understand this at some point, it probably would have fucked me off, right? But high in his strengths is strategy. And he's got a couple of others that actually require, his brain is a mess, basically. If he gets a question, it just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
It just goes, and you actually have to just shut up and let him think. But if you do that, he'll give you a fantastic answer.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then you're like, mate, that was great.
Interesting.
And then you can almost not talk again for the whole hour, right? Like,
yeah.
Because he's just worked through everything and given you this one awesome ass answer.
As long as you don't need the answer in 5 minutes.
Oh, he's not that slow.
Yeah, I spoke to him. Yeah, I like him. You could see that. I often find sort of that style of approaching problems would have quite heavy self-judgment, in the sense that in order to solve or understand the problem, they go quite inwardly on it. And then if you incorporate the potential judgment and pressure of someone else, then that closes off that creativity.
Yeah. And that's the risk of having like a top 5 only. Because you're like, oh, I'm only good at these things, I'm not good at the others. But they're actually, the coaching is like, there's 34 strengths and everyone has them. And the analogy goes, okay, you might be a right-hand dominant person, right? But it doesn't mean your left hand doesn't work. It still works.
Yeah.
You just use it when you need to. In fact, when I open a jar, I open the lid with my left hand, right? Like,
yeah, that's out the gate. Yeah,
that's weird, right?
Did he use that as an example?
No, I just thought of it now.
That's a great example. You should pass it on to him.
I'm like,
I've never considered the way I approach jars, bro. Yeah, that's a great point. That's the biggest takeaway from this whole thing, actually. Just been like, fuck. Wow. Yeah, and I think, you know, I never gone beyond a team of 15, and that can just be managed by meeting them individually and getting a feel for what they want, where they're at, and then facilitating someone else that can help them, because no one cares what you have to say, I find. You know, like if you're the leader, yeah, okay, you're not doing my job, why the fuck are you telling me how to do it? So it's like, hey, Bob's going to say the exact same thing as what I'm saying, but it's coming from Bob, and Bob's the salesman you want to be like.
Yeah.
So it's just funny for that. But yeah, I imagine as you reach a certain point, then it becomes a system. You need a framework of how to approach the organization and people, so that you can pass that on to the leadership team as well.
That's pretty much why we were like, because we've never had like a management team, right? It's just been like the directors and then the team. Like, we're quite flat, in fact. The director's almost on the same level as everybody else, is kind of my thinking. And over time, that as you get too big, it kind of doesn't work. Because people want direction, and not mothering, but they want to learn off someone. They want development, right? Something like 75% of Gen Zs want development in their current role, or they will leave.
Huh.
Right. So, if you're not giving it to them, then why should they stay anyway? I don't understand, right? Like, you're developing, the business is developing. Please develop your people. You know? Is kind of my thinking. But like, so we've never had management. So I'm like, maybe our managers have also not ever, maybe they just haven't managed long enough as well, right? Like a year is not really that long. And so we've put some pretty newish to management managers in place.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, here's a framework, guys. Like, you do a good job. We know you do a good job. But how about when you talk to people, think about what are their strengths, and before you give someone a task, ask yourself, is that the right person to be doing it? And if they say no, maybe it's because their strengths aren't that good, and now they know that, and it almost gives them the ability to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, have you heard of EOS?
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because my first ever client, not only, be optimistic, is that's essentially, they help leadership teams from 20 to 200, and that's the framework they use, is EOS.
Yeah.
And some people swear by it. I still don't get it, like, even though I know it.
So you know the EOS framework?
Like the basic things, you know, you have certain quadrants, you have a certain way to structure meetings, you have a leadership team and stuff like that. Because that's the sort of thing that just doesn't resonate with me at all, with the system and the doing. Like, I'm the thinker and the inspire other person,
right?
As opposed to, so I had to do that test and
yeah, it'll be really interesting. I'm trying to get my wife to do it.
So you can delegate tasks.
No, it's just like,
she sounds a very accomplished woman.
No, it's because like, you think about, okay, that's good. It's good for business, but it's good for personal life and family and stuff as well. Like if you can understand, because it's all about people and behavior, and what are you good at, right? So like, I'm good at systems. Like everything in our house is like, it's got to be organized. I hate mess. Like if I'm looking for the scissors, I know where the scissors are in my house. If I want the string, I know where the string is. If I want the drill, I know where the drill is. You know, like everything needs to be where it's meant to be. But my wife is not totally like that. It was only us living together for many years that she's like more closely aligned to that. So but like I'll redo her drawers like every 3 months. You know what I mean? Normally the woman would redo the like man's
Oh,
drawers.
you're throwing out these generalizations, man. I do not agree. You're speaking for yourself.
But it's like everyone used to give me shit that like,
it's unusual.
Yeah, like why do you care? Like you're a boy. I'm like, no, well, it's nothing to do with boys and girls. Like,
yeah, she's masculine, you're feminine. It's not to do with that.
Like I'm just a tidy Kiwi.
Yeah.
No, I just like things organized, right?
Yeah.
So maybe one of her strengths is not to be organized, or whatever that strength might be.
You just use this opportunity to throw shade at your wife. I see straight through you. Nah.
Do the test.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I think so much of human relationships, so much of relationships are people talking through the story of their life. And if you're not aware of their story, and you know that I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or you know, I don't deal with conflict very well, so if you put too much pressure, then it's not going to help us work this thing out together. So I think we all come in with these projections and these stories. So if you're aware of that and you don't take it personal because of your story, then I can imagine that being a good for relationship. Though my record's only 2 years, so maybe I should just listen and take notes. Okay, tell her she's shit at organising and change the drawer.
Don't. That doesn't work either.
Well, what do you think? What leads to it? How long have you been together for?
Good bloody question, as I play with my wedding ring. About 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah, so you got past the itch, and you're married as well. The 7-year itch, it's called, I think.
Yeah.
What is your advice to young men that want to have better marriages? Or it could be a shit marriage, you just stick it out. So I'm making assumptions.
I think I live my life like, I just believe in one life, right? Like, I don't have a work life and a home life and a friend life and a this life. Like, transparency for me is key. Like, communication. Like, all these people that are like, oh, don't tell your wife like how much your golf clubs were, or like how much you spent on your car, or whatever. I'm like, how the fuck did you hide that? Like, do you not share bank accounts? You know? So like that transparency and communication and honesty is like, to me, just, if you don't have it, what's the fucking point? You're going in two different directions. You know, I think the key is to be like, okay, these are my goals. What are your goals? And should we have some goals together? And then should we just start living our life? You know? But like, let's say I want to be I don't know, a bodybuilder and we'll win some bodybuilding champ by December. And she's like, yeah, but we have a 3-year-old. And what if I'm like, that's just, no, I've got to do this. And then she doesn't support me. Or I go so hard at it, it ruins every other aspect of our life. But what's the point?
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to be unhappy and she's going to be unhappy. Like, so I think it's like, cool, be transparent, have good communication, set goals, but actually check, are those goals going to fulfill us as a couple, or are they just selfish goals, you know?
Huh. Yeah, what is that? As I say, I'm all over Alex Samosi at the moment. He's like, with his partner, he doesn't progress until they don't progress in anything they don't agree with.
Yeah.
So until they get to an agreement.
We're very much the same.
Well, as I say, you've tripled my record, quadrupled my record.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much the same, but I always say we're like a financially led family. So like most of our decisions are financially led.
The accountant's strong in this one.
Yeah. Like I like money. Like, you know, I like how it works. I like figuring out how it works. I like making it. I like saving it. I like investing. I like, you know, I don't like gambling because then you've got the chance of losing it. So most of our decisions are financially led. So like we were like at the moment I made this dumb decision last year of planting this hedge at our house, and it cost, in the end it was meant to be, I got it over the line, right? So we had this conversation. I got it over the line at like $700 or something, and by the end of it cost $3,000. And I was like, I really didn't want a $3,000 hedge. I didn't. She definitely didn't. And anyway, it's got this myrtle rust at the moment, and it's going to hurt all of the rest of our garden, and it needs to get ripped out. And so she's like, okay, rip it out, and I want citrus trees in there. You fucked it up the first time. This time, I'm choosing the plants. And I'm like, cool, get the quote, blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing it, you know, too busy.
So there's leverage opportunities.
Yeah, 100%.
So you don't agree, but because you fucked up, then you can agree. She'll use that to agree.
Yeah, so now it's her chance to be like, this is what we should do with it, right? So we got a quote to do this cool as citrus like thing. Yeah. Awesome, I'm all in. Get the quote back. It's like $2,500. I was like, fuck. It's not the $2,500. I was like, I'm not ready to spend $2,500 on bloody citrus.
Yeah.
Anyway, this stupid flood is causing some issues at the home at the moment. And so I just said to her, I was like, look, I really like the idea. Like, it's good. It's going to look cool. And we're going to get fruit off it. Amazing. But not right now. So, like, we agree it needs to be done. But because it's about money at the end of the day, because we're financially led, like our goals, we have to wait. So somebody's coming to spray that myrtle rust this afternoon.
So what's the goal? What's the dream? What's this all about? Why are you here? Keep growing your accounting practice and teaching these salespeople. I'm not a big believer of changing your goals and creating new annual goals and all that shit. Oh yeah, so you got a vision. Yeah. Like my goal is to have enough money so I have enough time to do the things that I want to do in the way that I want to do it when I want to do it. Success to me looks like dropping off and picking up my kids every day from school, going to all the sports things that they have, me going to all of my sports things that I want to do, you know, traveling with my family, with my wife, like whenever we want. That's the goal. Like, and I think the other goal with that is like having a solid family home that's like big enough that like all of my friends can come to and all of my family can come to, and when my kids are older, all of their kids can come to. That's how we grew up. Like, we had a big house, not fancy or anything, just big in West Auckland, and like all my mates always used to come over, my friends and family. Always the house was just like this rotating door, right? That kept us happy for a long time. Like, we didn't need flash things. Yeah, well, community and purpose is pretty much, and independence. I asked old people, I don't know if you've heard any of that from me before, but it's like I would sell to old people over 65, not in this, selling them vibrating equipment, right? That would help them walk without pain, or 70% less pain. It was pretty cool. It was way too expensive. And they did this sales model where they would ask people what's important about life and why. So essentially I spent like a few thousand hours with people asking them what's important about life and why, and they're old. And they all said the same thing. They just called it different things, but it was just connection, purpose, and independence. And that was health and financial. At its core, it's like, I don't want to burden the people I love, which kind of shifts as you get older. You don't necessarily think about that maybe now. But so it's interesting. Your vision is a goal to have an action of doing. Like, it's not an achievement. It's like, I want to be able to live a life a certain way. The achievement's the house.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I want freedom.
And I like cars.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, like...
Maserati. Going to be the next Andrew Tate.
I don't need, like, some McLaren or Ferrari or Lamborghini or some shit, you know? Like, not
Tesla.
that kind of wank fest. Like, but, like, I still like fast cars. I still like, you know, I like cars that look nice. Cool. They cost money. Sweet. So maybe I don't spend money on fancy shoes and...
Hedges.
Hedges are good to... That's part of the home.
It's $6,000 when it sounds like
I know. It's a hedge. This hedge is just a bane of my life. Where were we going with that conversation?
I don't need cars, but I want cars.
Yeah, I like
That's where it's going.
Yeah, so it's like okay, well, at some point, I need goals to achieve, right? Like, for me to work harder. So I had this vision of, like, okay, have a car that you want to get. Cool. So I focused on that for a long, long time. Got the car, right? So I've had it now for nearly 3 years, and I'm like, time for a change kind of thing, you know? But I don't want to spend any more, because I'm kind of done with the car goal.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I like cars, but I don't necessarily need an RS6. Like, I don't need the next RS6.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a waste of money to me. So I could actually downgrade now and be quite happy. But probably because we've got the house, and it's like, cool, I've got the house, got the hedge. Like,
yeah,
you know?
If you can buy a hedge and not worry about it,
exactly.
That's when you've made it, bro.
Yeah.
You're going to do American Indians on the lemon tree? What the fuck? World's fastest Indian? American Indians. It's like, it's just got a racial direction. He pisses on the lemon tree. I can't fuck it. The guy on the motorbike, do you know the world's fastest motorbike movie? Yeah. He pisses on the lemon tree every day.
I know that when you piss on a lemon tree, apparently it grows faster.
Yeah, well, you know, forget that whole sequence of words. That's wonderful. So, what are these businesses doing wrong, mate? Why are they useless? Nah. What are they not doing with their accounting or thinking about their business? Or
I think most businesses these days, the problem with business in New Zealand is that most people don't have a business. Like, they actually have just created a job for themselves, right? And traditionally the way that happens is you start a job and you're like, I'm making my boss too much money, right? Like, I'm good at this thing and all I'm doing is making my boss money. So I'm going to go and start my own. Let's just pick on trades for a bit. Or accountants, trades and accountants. Let's just use both of those. Even it out a bit. Okay, I'm going to have more flexibility because I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to make more money because I was making that money anyway for my boss, right? And I can do whatever the hell I want to do and build this the way I want to build it. And have less stress, right? That's the way they think about it. The problem is they get going with what they were always good at and then just start selling that. And then someone refers them word of mouth, someone refers them word of mouth. And they go a whole year or whatever and they're doing good work, and then they hire someone to just do exactly what they were doing, and then they hire another person to just do what they were doing. They never shift away from, am I actually running a business, or did I just create a job for myself? And that's why my vision is like, okay, I'm trying to buy time. Everyone's like, you can't buy time. Well, fucking oath you can. If you make a shit ton of money, you can, because you don't have to do anything. Right? So I'm trying to buy time so I can do whatever hell I want.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key difference between business and just having a job for yourself and having a little bit of flexibility. Like, most small businesses in New Zealand aren't businesses. They're not. They just have a company structure set up.
Yeah.
XYZ Limited.
Yeah. Yeah, sole trader like me.
Yeah, like Happy Days. I've got to open a new company. I've got a business. Well,
made it.
No, you haven't. Like, who's doing the work? Can someone buy you off the street and not know who you are, right? Is that possible? If that's possible, then maybe you do have a business. Like, I don't know who owns... God, let's make it... Like, I don't know who owns the Newmarket Tempen Bowling. Do you?
It's Dave, bro. I know everyone.
Like,
2 degrees of separation. I'll know someone that knows him.
Yeah.
Or her.
Or her, yeah.
Could be. Or non-binary.
Yes, or non-binary.
You never know. 1% of my audience is non-binary.
Really?
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out, all right. So, and it's like, that's a perfect example, right?
Just watching you deal with that. Yeah.
like, there's a perfect example. Let's say I'm an accountant or a tradie, and I don't understand that 1% of your audience is that
non-binary. Right? You just alienated them.
Well, that's what I do. I alienate people.
You only pick the ones you like.
I'm not good at relationships.
Yeah, it's your 6th.
It is.
I was listening.
So let's say I think I have a business, but then I just alienate this whole group of people.
Yeah.
But I'm not just alienating them. I'm actually alienating anyone who cares about them as well. Right? So if I'm an accountant and I say something dumb, or I go and shout from the rooftops that
Tempen pooling ain't shit.
Yeah.
Right? Many goals better.
Yeah. Then I haven't just burnt that relationship with those types of people. I've burnt the relationship with all these other people that like that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So how do you... Because personal branding in some sense is deliberately burning those bridges, but not in a way that's hurtful.
Yes.
So it's like believing what you believe. So how do you navigate authenticity and not ruining the 100 people that live in New Zealand that could be potential clients?
It's a funny story, that. I've got funny stories about that, I should say.
Oh, it came prepared.
No, I'm not going to say the stories. But there's like, there's no way to like ever go through life and not piss people off, right?
Yeah.
Like,
who did you piss off? Go on.
Oh,
Don't say their name.
No,
What did you do?
I'm not a political person. Like, I don't know enough about political structure, right?
Jacinda, yay or nay?
What's that?
Jacinda Ardern, yay or nay?
I'm not a Jacinda fan. So nay.
Yeah. You just ostracized half of the country.
Yeah, great, fine.
Dude, I'll let you carry on. Sorry, I saw this amazing question that absolutely stitches someone up. So, can you answer a yes or no question?
Yes.
Does your mum know you're gay? Sorry,
that is impossible.
That's a stitch up. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Carry on. So you're not a
affecting
political
your
person.
audience here, by the way.
I don't give a fuck. I love you guys. If you don't like me, there's other podcasts. What's a good one? Property Academy. If you want to learn, I don't do finance anymore, so Property Academy podcast. Maybe don't buy from them, but they're
got a good podcast. I think
their podcast's exceptional. 10 times better than mine.
We're coming for them though.
Oh yeah, you
not in property.
You heard it here first, guys. We'll plug it. If it in the future, if it comes out by the time this comes out, is it going to come out in time? How long is it going to take to get?
Our one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's it going to call? Chuck NZ in the title if you're going to do anything.
Really?
Just because that's what people search for. Yeah.
True.
NZ podcast.
I can't remember what it's called. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
In the next couple of weeks.
That's Louise. She's all over it.
Louisa?
Sorry, Louisa.
Nah, Josh. He's marketing.
Yeah, Josh is marketing.
Hopefully they're both all over it.
She'll decide on if they're going to pay for it, and he'll decide what they should pay for.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still what's the word? Control freaking marketing right now.
Yeah.
So once I let go of that by the end of this month, I would say, and give it to Louisa with Josh.
How's that feel, just saying that?
Fantastic.
Yeah. You lying to yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Like, in theory, yes, fantastic. Emotionally, no.
Yeah. But I think what it'll be good at is I'm trying to free up my time a little bit. And marketing is something I care too much about.
Interesting.
So it's like yesterday I worked from home and it was like a get shit done day, right? I didn't even open my inbox. Like, I didn't even care about emails at the moment. Like, clients just send emails if they want something, but like they're not really sending it to me.
Oh,
if you know what I mean. Like, they have their own accountants and stuff within my team, so I'm just like copied in. You know what I mean? It's very rare
Good
that I
save.
get an email to me.
Good save, bro. Soon as I've been getting these emails, these clients, fuck it.
Yeah, if you sent me an email in the last 2 days, I haven't read it.
Yeah.
Where would we go with that?
So there's a few avenues. So one, we had that story that you potentially was going to talk about how you alienated some people, or you were talking about outsourcing marketing, and then you were doing emails that you were
So let's
ignoring.
deal with the marketing one because that's easier.
Okay.
Right? The marketing one's easy. So I care too much about it, so I spend too much time on it. And it doesn't make any money, right? Because I can't finish it. It's never finished.
Typical
Right.
achiever.
Yeah, so I've got to give it to
Activator.
I've got to give it to Josh. I've got to activate it. I've activated it because he's been with us for 6 months. He's got enough learning and all that now. And he should be able to run with that from 1 April. Right?
Until you analyze them.
Well, we will, right? We'll look at results.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. You analyze it. You're like, start it. Here's what's wrong with it. Can't start it again.
And start again. Or just fuck your A and B testing. Just stick with A.
Interesting.
So so he'll run with it. Sweet. I actually feel quite good about it. And then there's actually no single department in our company that I will be like solely responsible for, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Can't wait about that. So how did I alienate the whole group of people?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm in charge of marketing right now. This is like 2 years ago or last year. And I sent this big email about when they lifted the top tax rate to 180K. And so when it's 180K, over 180K, you get taxed at 39%. Right? From 70 to 180, it was 33%. My job, or one of my jobs, is tax minimization. Not tax avoidance, because that's illegal. Tax minimization.
You're good with words.
I'm allowed to minimize tax.
You hear about that IRD?
Right? Come for me, IRD. It's all legal. That's why clients pay us. Right? So I wrote this EDM and was like, it's a fucking tax grab, blah, blah, blah. Part of it was really well written. Part of it was terribly written. And no one reviewed it and checked it for sanity and said, is this going to piss people off? And I just kind of hit send. And that same evening, or I think that week, we had this big networking event too, like our own one. And people came in there was like half of them that were in there were like, yeah, bro, wow, fucking true. Like, fuck that. And, you're right on it, They're like, that's why we have you. And I'm like, yeah. So they got it, right? Because I'm like, it's a tax grab, not for like my clients per se, because we're good at what we do. We can minimize tax and we can structure things and all that sort of stuff. But in saying that, if people are really successful, they pay their fair share and they're way above 180. They don't give a shit, right?
Good save.
Like the difference on 180 to 250, that's 70K, right? 6% of that is not a lot of money to them. It's not a lot at all. It's like 3 or 4 grand, Yeah. It's like fuck all. So they don't give a shit. What I was saying was it's a tax grab because the people it hurts is people on PAYE. They don't have a choice. So you're talking about like your CEOs or your like chief marketing officers or like your weapon salespeople and all those types of people. Effectively the middle class, so to speak, technically high income earners.
Well, middle class is 180. Is that what you're saying?
Shit, mate.
Maybe for you, but maybe with old fucking hedges over here.
No, but like, I'm talking about people moving ahead.
It's good. You got good networks around you, so you value money. It helps you be successful. I get it, bro. Middle class, you are fucking off on a fucking
the upper end of middle class.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Like the people that have the house, the car, the family, like they can afford shit, right? Those people to get ahead are losing that top bit, because if you're on 180 and you're on a PAYE thing and you're not like on a commission base like sales or whatever, incrementally your pay is not like climbing, right? Like you actually got to work a lot harder to go from like 180 to 190 or 180 to 200 probably. I'm guessing here. But like,
yeah, I haven't earned less than $1 million, so that's what I would know. I've read
Can't
about
even relate.
I saw those people on Queen Street. It's just like, oh, you poor, you're middle class, earning 80 grand,
80K,
begging on the street.
So I was like, it just feels wrong. Like anyone who's kind of working harder literally like probably not 9 to 5, right? Probably like 8 till 7 type people, like really hustling, working really hard. I feel sorry for those people.
Interesting.
Because they're working hard for their money and they're losing it. Anyway, so I'm digressing. I'm not sure I believe in that sentiment so much these days, but...
Oh, you changed. Because you spoke with the same emotion.
Yeah.
You just don't publicly talk about it.
But like it went out there and I was like trying to talk to these people, and this one lady in particular was just like having a crack. And she was a couple of wines deep, and it was our own event, so I'd only had 2 beers over like 2 hours. And I was just trying to like bring her down a bit, like, and just like, can I just explain like the whole thinking here in a more articulate way rather than the words you read on my email? Mm-hmm. And she just wouldn't let me out, just going for it. And I'm like, look, let's just agree to disagree here. So
you got cucked.
Because I brought politics into it.
Yeah.
And you can't win when you talk about politics, and can't win when you talk about religion. There's no winners.
Interesting.
There's only losers.
Yeah, I compared Biden's marketing strategy and Donald Trump's on TikTok.
Yeah.
It was going viral, and I was like, nah, I'm dropping this, just because it invoked a certain thing. But yeah, it's tricky. It's like, on one hand, it's not so much the politics of that, it's the lack of empathy for the person that's not in the group that you're supporting. I think that's what hit the most. Yeah.
And I didn't give it time to sit, right?
Yeah.
Like when something pisses you off, you should write it down and then read it tomorrow.
No,
right?
Your diary is your outreach campaign. That's what I've learned. If anyone wants a tip on marketing, just write every strong emotional feeling you have during the day, vocalize it and send it.
What, immediately?
Yeah, don't think about it. Like if you think of something racist, sexist, something like...
And then what?
And then watch your business crumble. But then you have like real passionate fans, so maybe 10 of them.
Yeah, like the whole...
I was joking.
What's his bald mate? What's his name?
Andrew Tate.
Yeah, Andrew Tate.
Yeah, well, he's deliberately polarizing, but then says things that are practical as well. So it's like...
It's quite hard, eh?
Yeah, I think intelligence is the ability to... not agree with some things people say, but be open to that. Don't just write them off. Yeah. But yeah, he's saying hateful things.
I'm big on that.
Is he innocent? Thoughts? Andrew Tate, is he innocent? Are you following it?
I actually don't care. Wow. Like, do you know what I mean?
But humanity,
nah, but like...
Legal imprisonment. He hasn't been charged.
But is it affecting you?
It's affecting him. The injustice in the world. The same way you feel about the upper class.
You feel about Andrew Tate.
I feel about injustice. I feel about... Like, if someone hasn't been charged and they've been in prison for 52 days, I think that's wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong.
That's it. That's my stance.
Yeah.
I can't like him, even though he upsets people.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If you have an open mind and you're willing to hear anyone for the first time...
Yeah.
And then, like...
I'd love to interview serial killers and like fucked up people. Yeah. I'd love to just have like serial killers, rapists, pedophiles, all the worst supposed aspects of society.
Yeah.
And approach you with empathy and completely, you think you alienated people. Maybe you're thinking, shit, why am I on this podcast now by association? I did that one email. Now my fucking life's ruined. No, I think, do you want people to suffer, or do you want a better world?
Yeah.
And to get a better world, you need to be empathetic to people that you don't like.
Yeah, 100%. But do you have to be empathetic, or do you have to be sympathetic?
Well, I don't feel sorry for them.
You don't?
No.
You just want to understand them?
I want to understand... So, the Carl Jung, he talks about, he's one of the early psychologists around Sigmund Freud days, but he doesn't talk about mums in the same way. He was a bit more legitimate. And he says a tortured man tortures.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to realise is, yet I've met a lot of evil people, shall we say, or they have contributed horrible things to society, like chopping people's heads off or killing people. And there's a sequence of events that have led to their view of the world, and it's often through suffering that internally that they're inflicting on others.
That's why I'm saying the sympathy thing. Like, why don't you feel sorry for them?
Because feeling sorry for them doesn't help them. It just makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah, true.
Hey, you loser! Look at you! Fuck. like,
But not like that.
If you go up to someone, yeah, no, you won't do like. But if you go up to someone of that genre,
Yeah,
and
be
you're
like,
oh, baby,
yeah, you've had a really hard life, man. That must suck. You know.
it's like I call it like kindness versus being nice. So being kind isn't always nice.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you're being nice, you're sympathetic.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I just wanted to, I might not even know what sympathy properly means. Maybe
Well, I think more
sympathetic.
people know what sympathy means. Not enough people know what empathy means.
Preach. Are you a preacher? What do you believe in?
Yeah, a lot.
A
No,
lot?
I don't
Yourself?
believe in a lot.
Do you look in the mirror and just think, fuck, I'm God's gift?
Shit, no.
Yeah.
Definitely don't think that. I don't know. I think I'm pretty simple. Yeah.
I agree. No, this is unnecessary. Yeah, no, I'm not picking it. You don't have to answer what you believe. We've done that warning that you said about. We'll probably do an hour and a half, so it's 3:30.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Yeah. So, ignoring all the controversial shit I've said, and you have no correlation to that, and you're your own man, and do not pick on him for his email. That took accountability and responsibility. And I wasn't trying to bail you up. It sounded a little bit like that. Said it with love. Kindness.
Kindness.
Yeah, who should find you and why and how?
I think anyone who wants primarily their business to be better, like that's what I believe in. Like, business is your way to live a better life, right? And then how to find us? We're all over the internet. You just search Betterco or search Vinay. Google is the easiest way, and hopefully our Instagram, Facebook, and website and everything comes up. And hopefully in a few weeks our podcast. But
yeah, watch out.
I think the key is just the knowing what you're after. Like, people are always after financial freedom. Is it actually financial freedom that you're after? It's not something that I necessarily I believe people should chase financial freedom, and that's why they should maybe follow me. But it's more about a more rounded life. Like, how much stress do you have? Like, what's your mind freedom? Do you have the time to do what you want? Do you have time freedom, right? Like, I always say, if you have those three things, you're probably living the dream. And there's the old analogy of the American goes to the island and goes to the Jamaican man and says, hey man, you've been out there all day fishing all day. Rather than living over here, why don't you go live over there and do some fishing lessons and do a whole bunch of shit, and we'll teach you over there, and you can scale your business real quick because it's growing over there. And then once you got all that, you can go fishing every day if you like. And the guy's like, what the fuck do you think I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
Going fishing every day. So it's okay. Just be careful about building businesses and then adding stress and having no time. When actually, if you just went fishing every day, you have all the time, no stress, but you probably don't have any money to buy the petrol, right? So it's a balance. You've got to have enough. And then actually, is it enough to live the life that you want to live? Once you've got there, cool. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, nice. Good pitch. One of the better ones. And
That's my pitch.
And for Josh, because you're delegating control, or Louisa,
Yeah.
just go buy some shit from them. So then, they're like, yeah, they're doing good. I'll leave it in the description. But thanks for coming.
Thanks very much.
Boom.